reverse field different than any quarterback that's out there. Normally you're going to see a quarterback rush to his throwing side, whereas Russ turns away from it and is not only just able to throw across his body, but also has the ability to turn his back on the defenders and reverse his field better than any quarterback maybe that I've ever seen. So it's an incredibly, incredibly entertaining guy to watch. And we're all lucky to kind of be watching these quarterbacks right now. It's really seems like a golden era between, Lamar and Russ, Patrick Mahomes, Aaron Rodgers, Breeze and Brady on their way out. It's a hell of a good time to be a football fan.
Russell Wilson's deep ball, man. I think that might be the best deep ball I've ever seen in my life. Because, like you said, Reuter, it just drops from the heavens right into the fucking breadbasket every time. You pairing that with like DK Metcalf, who's a fucking physical specimen himself, and it's like you said, they're just fun to watch. Like Russell Wilson, just like the theme right now is let Russ cook, and he's cooking everybody. Like every team he went up against so far has felt that Russell Wilson power so far, man. But just like look at these numbers. Like first 925 yards passing, 14 touchdowns, 1 interception, and he's completing 77% of his passes. It's ridiculous what he's doing right now. He's legit playing Madden. Like he's legit playing Madden on the field. And it's amazing to watch. Shout out to the Seahawks, man. It's crazy how the Seahawks defense is very shitty. And this offense, Russell Wilson is just carrying this whole team. Like he's man. Shout out to Russ. That's all I gotta say. Shout out to Russell Wilson.
Yeah, one more thing. I mean, that's a really great development. Well, I wouldn't say great if I was a Seahawks fan, but from the outside looking in, when they went to those Super Bowls and won, and then lost to the Patriots, it was always talked about how Russell Wilson was a game manager. He was being carried by a rushing offense led by Lynch and one of the best defenses that's ever been assembled, and all of this overrated talk and all of that. Honestly, they're in a position now where their offensive line last year was one of the worst in the league. This year isn't quite as bad, but isn't anything to be happy about. Their defenses have been getting torched, and he's just carrying them to victories, which is a complete 180 of what we've seen when he came into the league. And I think that's amazing to see. Of course, he's had good years before, but 2 years ago, Mahomes went crazy. Last year, Jackson went crazy. And this year, he's finally getting his due diligence from the average football fan. Not due diligence is the right word, sorry. Due credit. And yeah, it's a cool transformation to see. Him just carrying these teams and having explosive offenses, and Pete Carroll finally really letting him let loose.
Yeah, man, it's a beautiful thing to see. And just a progression of Russell Wilson throughout his career, man. The dude came in the league as a third round quarterback. And
DJ Graham.
And now, he's fucked around. He's arguably the best quarterback in the league right now. Between him and Patrick Mahomes, it's pretty much like take your pick, who you got. And I love it. I fucking love it, man. Hopefully, if he continues this trajectory, he's going to be the MVP. Like, it's going to be plain and simple as that. So, shout out to Russ, man. Shout out to the Seahawks. Let's talk some basketball, man. A little bit. I was skeptical. Like when the season shut down, when COVID happened, when Rudy Gobert touching mics and shit. I was like, I don't know, man. This might be a wrap. Like the season might be over. But NBA got it together, came up with the bubble. Teams went down there. And, man, we're going to have a fucking finals, bro. Like, holy shit. And, the Lakers pretty much, they was probably the favorites going into the season. But who the fuck seen the Miami Heat making it all the way to the finals? Not me.
A 4 and a 5 seed, man, in the Eastern Conference Finals. When's the last time we've seen something like that? 4 and a 5 seed. I don't know. Spoelstra has just put on an absolute clinic in these playoffs. He followed the Nick Nurse model of defending Giannis worked like a dream, downs them in 5 games, goes into Boston, and just he's only putting 7 players on the court. Only 8 players touched the court, but 7 basically played all game. And the thing is with the Heat is no matter who touches the ball in what spot, they're a threat. Butler is kind of on that elite cusp, but other than that, they don't have any crazy. They don't have their LeBron James or Anthony Davis. It's just that no matter who touches that ball, they're a danger to score. They're a danger to make plays. Bam Adebayo, I know he had that crazy scoring night, but what impressed me the most was his passing. He had that one play where they come over and double him, and he shuffles the ball. I think it was behind Tice for a perfect pass, leads Butler in for an easy bucket. When you're an athletic freak like Adebayo is, to have that wrinkle to your game as young as he is, it's truly impressive to me. I didn't really notice it until these playoffs. Hero, who was more of a spot shooter throughout the season, is actually taking people off the dribble, getting to the rim, hitting mid-range shots, hitting the three-point shots. Duncan Robinson is taking a couple people off the dribble, is just it's if Iggy can stay. I'm taking the Lakers in 6, but if Iggy can stay hitting from the 3-point line and can put in an effort on defense, this is going to be a really fun series.
I think the Heat match up very well with the Lakers. Very, very well. This version of the Heat, because people, I think, are looking at the 2 earlier games they played in the regular season where the Lakers beat them twice. They blew them out one game, and then the next game was closer, but the Lakers won that as well. This is a totally different Heat team, and I think you just kind of explained it perfectly. Like, Tyler Hero is not a rookie no more. Like, this is his sophomore season, and he's in the playoffs, and he's fucking balling. Bam Adebayo, the way that he has been able to raise his game in these playoffs, particularly in this Boston series, where he was the best player on the floor for Miami. All series long, he was their best player on offense and on defense. They ran their offense through him, like you said. Like, he was bringing the ball up the court, and he's their center. All right. We only know one other center that does that right now, and that's Jokic. And the passing, the scoring inside, smart defensive plays, one of the greatest blocks I've ever seen on Jason Tatum. And was that game 1, game 2, whatever game that was? One of the greatest blocks I think it was game 1.
Okay.
One of the greatest blocks I ever seen in my life. Jimmy Butler and Tyler Hero. Like you said, he's a bucket. My man said what he said. He's a bucket. Like, stop him if you can. Duncan Robinson, like, we see this dude, like, this looks like the typical prep school dude, and he's a fucking stone cold killer out there. Like, you leave him open, you give him an inch of space, and he's throwing that shit up, and then more times than not, it's going in. And then you just got Jimmy, who just, like, got the bad rep in Chicago, got a bad rep in Minnesota, got a bad rep in Philadelphia. Finally goes to a team that he says, yo, this is the culture that I want to be a part of, and goes down there, and everybody was saying, oh yeah, all you care about is winning, and you're going to go to Miami Heat. Good luck, have fun being 41-41 or some shit like that. HC, good luck. Be happy with that. And I was one of those people, I'm not going to lie. but for him to go down there, and he said, yo, this is a business trip, and you see it in him, man. He's just a natural born leader, and he's not afraid of the moment. He believes he's as good as no matter what our opinion is about him, he believes he's as good as any other player in these playoffs, including LeBron, including AD, including Giannis. And then you see his performances, and it's like, shit, man. Shout out to Jimmy Buckets, man. I got so much respect for that dude, that team. The Miami is just it's a really nice feel-good story. And then, like you said, Erik Spoelstra, the coaching job that he's done in these playoffs, like, just switch it to a zone and just stifling teams. Like, teams can't figure out a zone. Like, this is shit that people was playing at bitty basketball, pee-wee basketball is zone constants, and they can't figure it out as professional NBA players. This was like, it's crazy. It's crazy. So shout out to Miami, man. And then on the other side of the things, the Lakers, they just ran through the West. They just ran through the West, man.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Just to get back to the zone, that's going to be the issue. I mean, that was the issue with their games in the regular season. So that is my going into game one. That's the biggest adjustment that I'm excited to seeing for Spoelstra, what kind of defense they go to. If they kind of set in those zones, they struggled in game 6 against, was it game 6 or 7?
Against
Boston.
No, they didn't get the game. It was game 6.
Yeah, it went 6 games. Yeah,
game 5. Game 5 is when Boston kind of figured it out and they kind of like took the lead.
Yeah, towards the end of the game. Yeah. And then game 6, they kind of did well. But the thing is with the Lakers is they have zone busters. I mean, you have the passing of – it goes back to, like you said, it's Pee Wee basketball, but it also goes back to the 80s and fundamental basketball to break down a zone, which a lot of teams kind of rely on athleticism nowadays. But with the passing of LeBron and Rondo, they have the shooters if they're knocking down shots. And then Anthony Davis, they basically have the perfect storm to defeat a zone. The zone notoriously allows mid-range shots, which Anthony Davis has been killing this year. And if they start hitting threes, everything just goes to shit in a zone defense. So I think the Lakers kind of have the perfect setup to go against the zone. So I'm excited to see what Spoelstra does there because, like you said, personnel-wise, they match up better than maybe any of the opponents the Lakers have played thus far.
Yeah.
But the zone, I don't think, is the right way to go in this series.
I think that you're going to see spurts of it. I don't think that is going to be their primary defense because, like you said, they match up very well. Like Bam Adebayo and Anthony Davis is a fucking awesome player. You're not going to stop him, but Bam Adebayo is going to do as good of a job on him that anybody else can do. And then you got just a ton of different bodies that you can throw at LeBron. Like you literally have 3 defenders in Jimmy Butler, Andre Iguodala, and Jamison Crowder who can go and check him. Now, LeBron's passing, we already know about that. He's arguably the greatest passer of all time, at least in my lifetime I've seen. And he's going to get his shooters open. Rajon Rondo, we got playoff Rondo showing up now, and he's been balling out of his mind. So that's another playmaker on the court. For me, the key for the Lakers is, are those shooters going to hit those shots? Like Danny Green, we know his finals resume. Like when the finals time, he just comes out of nowhere and performs one of the best players on the court. Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, are you going to knock down those shots? Kyle Kuzma, are you going to knock down those shots? The biggest question I have for the Lakers is who's going to be that third guy? Who's going to be the third guy to step up for this team and help overcome this Miami team? Because this Miami's team is really, really good. I see a lot of people say, oh, yeah, Lakers in 4. This is going to be an easy sweep, all this shit like that. And I get it. I get that the confidence is high. I just handle your business against the Trailblazers, the Nuggets, and then the Rockets. But this is a different animal. This is the best team that you've faced in these playoffs, hands down. And it's going to be very interesting to see how these teams match wits, especially Spoelstra against what's the Lakers head coach? Vogel. Yeah, Frank Vogel. So I'm excited, bro. I'm really excited for this one, man. I think it's going to go 7 personally. I hope it goes 7. But yeah, man. So any key matchups that you are looking at, like one-on-one matchups that you're eyeing for these playoffs, for this finals, I should say?
Not really one-on-one matchups. I think with both of these teams, it's more about different defensive looks. I don't think Butler is the best probably perimeter defender on the team, but I don't foresee him guarding LeBron for most of the matchup. That might fall to Crowder. But as you know, I'm a huge fan of coaching and kind of the chess match of basketball. And especially on the Heat side, well, there's 2 things. One on the Lakers side is, do they go big and kind of try to take advantage of Bam being the only true big that the Heat have been going to in the playoffs? If they put Howard and Davis in there and rotate McGee, they might be able to find a lot of easy buckets, especially if they run that zone. Or if they're going to put Morris out there, who didn't have quite a good conference series. So I'm curious to see how big the Lakers go. And then on the other side, I'm curious to see